Installation Rules Part 4, Occupational Health and Safety Act 85 of 1993, Electrical Machinery Regulations, Regulation 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 18, as well as Construction Regulations, only Regulation number 22. Definitions. In these regulations, any word or expression to which a meaning has been assigned in the Act shall have the meaning and unless the context otherwise indicates. Circuit means an arrangement of conductors for the purpose of carrying electrical energy. Conductor means an electrical conductor arranged to be electrically connected to a source of electrical energy. Confined space means an area as defined in Regulation 1 of the regulations published by Government Notice R1031 of 30 May 1986. Dead means or at about zero potential and isolated from any life system. Earthed means connected to the general mass of Earth in such a manner as will ensure at all times an immediate safe discharge of electrical energy. Electric fence means an electrified barrier against the trespass of persons or animals which consists of one or more bare conductors. Electrical installation means an electrical installation as defined in Regulation 1 of the regulations published by Government Notice R 2270 of 11 October 1985. Fence energizer means electrical machinery arranged so as to deliver a periodic non-lethal amount of electrical energy to an electrical fence connected to it. Insulated means covered with insulating material of such thickness and properties that it will prevent the flow of electrical energy between the object so covered and its surroundings or any external object in contact with it. Live or alive means electrically charged. Miniature substation means a substation that a person cannot enter. Overhead service connections or service connections means the conductors between the supplier's mains and the consumer's electrical installations. Portable electric tool means any electrically operated implement with the exception of ordinary household electrical appliances which is designed for use with a flexible cord at the supply end and which is intended for use by hand or to be carried by hand at the place of work, or b. a flexible cable at the supply end and which is intended for use by hand and to be moved by hand at the place of work. Supplier means a supplier as defined in Regulation 1 of the regulations published by Government Notice R 2270 of 11 October 1985. System means an electrical system in which all the conductors and devices are electrically connected to a common source of electrical energy. The Act means the Machinery and Occupational Safety Act 1983, Act 6 of 1983. Work on disconnected electrical machinery. Without derogating from any specific duty imposed on employers or users of machinery by the Act, the employer or user shall, whenever work is to be carried out on any electrical machinery which has been disconnected from all sources of electrical energy, but which is liable to acquire or to retain an electrical charge as far as is practicable, cause precautions to be taken by earthing or other means to discharge the electrical energy to earth from such electrical machinery or any adjacent electrical machinery if there is danger therefrom before it is handled, and to prevent any electrical machinery from being charged or made live while persons are working thereon. Notices. Without derogating from any specific duty imposed on users of machinery by the Act, the user shall cause notices in both official languages to be exhibited within and at all designated entrances to the premises, as the case may be, on which generating plant and transforming, switching, or linking apparatus are situated, which notices prohibit unauthorized persons from entering such premises, prohibit unauthorized persons from handling or interfering with electrical machinery, contain directions of procedure in case of fire, and contain directions on how to resuscitate persons suffering from the effects of electric shock, provided this regulation shall not apply to miniature substations and distribution boxes, on condition and the access doors can be locked or bolted, and that only authorized persons are permitted to open them and work thereon. Switch and transformer premises. The user shall cause enclosed premises housing switchgear and transformers A. To be of ample size so as to provide clear working space for operating and maintenance staff. B. To be sufficiently ventilated to maintain the equipment at a safe working temperature. C. To be, as far as is practicable, constructed so as to be proof against rodents, leakage, seepage, and flooding. D. Where necessary, to be provided with lighting that will enable all equipment, thoroughfares, and working areas to be clearly distinguished, and all instruments, labels, and notices to be easily read. E. To have doors or gates which can be readily be opened from the inside, opening outwards. F. To be provided with fire extinguishing appliances which are suitable for use on electric machinery and which are in good working order, provided that, in the case of unattended premises, suitable fire extinguishing appliances need only be made available at such premises when work is in progress thereon or therein, and G. To be of such construction that persons cannot reach in and touch bare conductors or exposed live parts of the electrical machinery. No person other than a person authorized thereto by the user shall enter, or be required or permitted by the user to enter, premises housing switchgear or transformers, unless all live conductors are insulated against inadvertent contact or are screened off, provided that the person so authorized may be accompanied by any other person acting under his control. Electrical control gear. The user shall provide every electrical installation and power line with controlling apparatus and protective devices, which shall, as far as is reasonably practicable, be capable of automatically isolating the power supply in the event of a fault developing on such installation or power line. No user shall place a switch, circuit breaker, or fuse in the neutral conductor of a polyphase alternating current or three-wire direct current distribution system unless such switch, circuit breaker, or fuse is so arranged as to isolate all phase conductors and the neutral conductor simultaneously, provided that this shall not include an isolating link on the neutral conductor installed for test purposes or to prevent circulating currents. The user shall, whenever reasonably practicable, provide switchgear with an interlocking device so arranged that the door or cover of the switch cannot be opened unless the switch is in the off position and cannot be switched on unless the door or cover is locked. The user shall mark or label all controlling apparatus permanently so as to identify the system or part of the system or the electrical machinery which it controls, and where such control apparatus is accessible from the front and the back. These markings shall be on both the front and the back. The user shall post a notice at switch or control gear which has been switched off or locked out to enable persons to work on electrical machinery or other machinery operated by electricity and controlled by such switch or control gear, warning against reclosing such switch or control gear. No person shall act contrary to a warning in terms of Sub-Regulation 5. Switchboards. The user shall provide an unobstructed space for operating and maintenance staff at the back and front of all switchboards, and the space at the back shall be kept closed and locked except for the purpose of inspection, alteration, or repair, provided that the requirements of this regulation with respect to the unobstructed space at the back of the switchboard shall not apply in the case of switchboards which have no uninsulated conductors accessible from the back, switchboards, the switchgear of which is of a totally enclosed construction, switchboards, the backs of which are only accessible through an opening in the wall or partition against which they are placed, such openings being kept closed and locked, and switchboards which can be safely and effectively maintained from the front and which have all parts accessible from the front. Electrical machinery in hazardous locations. No person may use electrical machinery in locations where there is danger of fire or explosion owing to the presence, occurrence, or development of explosive or flammable articles, or where explosive articles are manufactured, handled, or stored, unless such electrical machinery, with regard to its construction, relating to the classification of the hazardous locations in which it is to be used, meets the requirements of a safety standard incorporated for this purpose in these regulations under Section 36 of the Act. Every user referred to in Sub-Regulation 1 shall be in possession of a certificate in a form acceptable to the Chief Inspector, which has been issued by an approved inspection authority, in which it is certified that the electrical machinery referred to in terms of Sub-Regulation 1 has been manufactured and tested for the groups of dangerous articles in terms of the safety standard which has been incorporated in these regulations. For this purpose, under Section 36 of the Act, provided that in lieu of such certificate, an inspector may approve permanent labeling on such machinery which contains all the relevant information. When diverse items of electrical machinery such as motors, cables, and control apparatus are used together to form an electrical installation, the user shall ensure that the selection, arrangement, installation, protection, maintenance, and working thereof results in no less a degree of safety than when the individual items of such machinery are used separately. The user shall use electrical machinery to which this regulation applies only under such conditions and in such surroundings as are prescribed in the safety standard referred to in sub-regulation 2. No person shall effect repairs or adjustments to or otherwise work on electrical machinery under conditions envisaged by sub-regulation 1 unless such machinery has been rendered dead and effective measures have been taken to ensure that such machinery remains dead. Wherever there is a possibility of the formation of static electricity under working conditions, the user shall earth all metallic structures, machine parts, pneumatic conveyor ducts, and pipelines conveying flammable articles and the like, or take such other measures as may be necessary to effectively prevent the formation of electric sparks. The user shall cause all electrical machinery to which this regulation applies to be examined and tested at intervals not exceeding 2 years by a person who is competent to express an opinion on the safety thereof. The person carrying out the examination referred to in sub-regulation 7 shall enter, sign, and date the results of each such examination in a record book, which shall be kept by the user for this purpose, provided that where such machinery is subject to adverse climatic or physical conditions, the frequency of such examinations shall be increased to intervals of not longer than 1 year or such shorter period as circumstances may necessitate. Portable electric tools. No user shall permit the use of and no person shall use a portable electric tool the operating voltage of which exceeds 50 to earth unless it is connected to a source of electrical energy incorporating an earth leakage protection device, the construction of which meets the requirements of a safety standard incorporated for this purpose in these regulations under Section 36 of the Act, or B. It is connected to a source of electrical energy through the interposition between its tool and the source of an individually double wound isolating transformer, the secondary winding of which is not earthed at any point, and the construction of which meets the requirements of a safety standard incorporated for this purpose in these regulations under Section 36 of the Act, or C. It is connected to a source of high frequency electrical energy derived from a generator which is used solely for supplying energy to such portable electrical tool and which arrangement is approved by the chief inspector, or it is clearly marked that it is constructed with double or reinforced insulation. No persons shall sell a portable electric tool constructed with double or reinforced insulation referred to in sub-regulation 1 unless it is clearly marked that it is constructed with such installation and its insulation is constructed in accordance with a safety standard incorporated for this purpose in these regulations under Section 36 of the Act. No person shall use or permit the use of a portable electric tool which is not fitted with a switch to allow for easy and safe starting and stopping of the tool. The user shall maintain every portable electric tool together with its flexible cord and plug in a serviceable condition. Portable electric lights. No person shall use a portable electric light the operating voltage of which exceeds 50 unless it is fitted with a substantial handle which is made of non-hygroscopic, non-conducting material, or live metal parts, or parts which may become live owing to a faulty circuit, are completely protected against accidental contact. The lamp is protected by means of a substantial guard firmly fixed to the insulation handle, and the cable lead in is such that the insulation can withstand a rough use. No person shall use a portable electric light in wet or damp conditions, or in closely confined spaces inside metal vessels, or when he is in contact with large masses of metal, unless subject to the provisions of Subregulation 1. The lamp is connected to a source of electrical energy, incorporating an earth leakage protection device, the construction of which meets the requirements of a safety standard incorporated for this purpose in these regulations under Section 36 of the Act, or the operating voltage of the lamp does not exceed 50 volts, and where this electrical energy is derived from a transformer, such transformer shall have separate windings. Electric fences. No user shall install a fence energizer which delivers impulses of electrical energy to an electrical fence which are not equal to or within the following values. Peak value of voltage 10 kilovolts. Maximum duration of impulse 50 milliseconds. Minimum interval between impulse 0.75 seconds. Maximum quantity of electricity per impulse 2.5 MCs. Maximum energy discharge per impulse is 8 joules measured at a resistance of 500 ohms. The user shall ensure that every fence energizer is constructed so as to exclude dust and water and is not installed in dusty locations or locations where there is a fire hazard. The user shall not install a fence energizer which receives its energy from an electric supply system, in locations where the energizer is likely to sustain mechanical damage or be tampered with, on any pole of an overhead power or communication line except poles which carry the conductors of the energizer, and c. unless the output circuit is isolated from the supply by means of a double wound isolating transformer. The user of a fence energizer shall cause the earth of every fence energizer to be free and at least 2 meters away from the earth of any other electrical system, and b. not electrify barbed wire but only smooth wire or such articles as will enable a person touching it to let go immediately, provided that smooth wires attached to barbed wire fences may be electrified. In the case of a fence energizer which receives its energy from a battery charged by means of a charging apparatus which receives power from an electric supply, the user shall ensure that the charging apparatus is of double wound isolation construction. When an electrical fence is installed along a public road or in an urban area, the user shall, as far as is practicable, mount the electrified wires or articles in such positions that persons cannot inadvertently come into contact therewith, and display notices conspicuously warning people that the property is protected by an electrical fence. Conductors. The supplier or user shall ensure that the factor of safety of every line conductor, including joints, is at least 2.5, which factor shall be based on the rated ultimate tensile strength of the conductor and shall be calculated on the assumption that the line conductor is at a temperature of -5 degrees Celsius and that it is simultaneously subjected to a wind pressure at right angles to the line equivalent to 700 Pascal on 0.6 of the protected area of the conductor. Occupational Health and Safety Act 85 of 1993, Construction Regulations, Regulation 22, Electrical Installations and Machinery on Construction Sites. Notwithstanding the provisions contained in the Electrical Installation Regulations promulgated by Government Notice Number R2920 of 23 October 1992 and the Electrical Machinery Regulations promulgated by Government Notice Number R1593 of 12 August 1988, respectively, as amended, a contractor shall ensure that a. Before construction commences and during the progress thereof, adequate steps are taken to ascertain the presence of and guard against danger to workers from any electrical cable or apparatus which is under, over, or on the site. B. All parts of electrical installations and machinery are of adequate strength to withstand the working conditions on construction sites. C. In working areas where the exact location of underground electric power lines is unknown, employees using jackhammers, shovels, or other hand tools which may make contact with the power line are provided with insulated protective gloves or otherwise that the handle of the tool being used is insulated. D. All temporary electrical installations are inspected at least once a week and electrical machinery on a daily basis before use on a construction site by competent persons, and the records of these inspections are recorded in a register to be kept on site. And E. The control of all temporary electrical installations on the construction site is designated to a competent person who has been appointed in writing. Thank you for listening to the presentation and good luck with your exams.